Imagine a king so powerful, so charismatic that his mere name defined an entire era. This is the story of Louis XIV, the Sun King, ruler of France from 1643 to 1715. Over 7 decades, he became the quintessential figure of absolute monarchy, transforming France into a cultural, military, and political juggernaut that would shape Europe for centuries. Louis XIV was born on September 5, 1638, in the royal Château de Saint-Germain-en-Laye, just outside Paris. From the moment of his birth, he carried an air of destiny. He was the first son of Louis XIII and Queen Anne of Austria after 23 years of marriage. Seen as a miracle child, his birth secured the Bourbon dynasty's future at a time when France faced internal strife and external threats. But behind the facade of royal grandeur, all was not perfect. France was plagued by noble uprisings, political instability, and financial woes. At the age of just 4, Louis inherited the throne upon the death of his father in 1643. But being a child ruler meant the reins of power were largely held by others, most notably Cardinal Mazarin, his regent and chief minister. England had just beheaded its monarch in the throes of civil war, and France, too, was facing the turbulence of the Fronde, a series of civil wars triggered by powerful nobles challenging royal authority. It was during this period that young Louis experienced firsthand the dangers of unbridled aristocratic ambition and the need for centralized authority. The Fronde would leave a lasting impression on him. When the chaos finally subsided, Louis, now a young man, was determined to never allow the nobility to threaten the monarchy again. His declaration, "L'État c'est moi," I am the state. Louis officially took over the reins of governance following the death of Mazarin in 1661. At just 22 years old, Louis XIV shocked the court by declaring that he would rule without a first minister, consolidating power into his own hands. This marked the dawn of absolutism in France. Louis surrounded himself with loyal advisors, including Jean-Baptiste Colbert, who spearheaded critical economic reforms. Colbert implemented mercantilist policies, strengthened industry, and made France the dominant trading nation in Europe, boosting the royal treasury. Louis's reign also saw the construction of one of the most remarkable structures in human history, the Palace of Versailles. Located just outside Paris, Versailles was transformed into a jaw-dropping monument to his power, with elaborate gardens, fountains, and interiors rivaling anything in Europe. It wasn't just about aesthetics. Versailles became a strategic tool of control. Louis moved his court to Versailles, where over 10,000 nobles were kept under his watchful eye. Here, the Sun King used lavish ceremonies, dances, and rituals to co-opt the nobility, ensuring they stayed loyal while neutralizing their power. But Louis XIV's ambitions were not limited to aesthetics or domestic politics. He sought to establish France as the dominant military power. He expanded the royal army, modernized its tactics, and personally involved himself in war planning. During his reign, he launched multiple wars aiming to extend French territory, uphold his claims to foreign thrones, or assert dominance over Europe. One of the pivotal conflicts was the War of Devolution in 1667-1668. Claiming inheritance rights for his wife, Marie-Thérèse of Spain, Louis invaded the Spanish Netherlands and achieved several victories. Though the Treaty of Aix-la-Chapelle ended the war with only marginal territorial gains, it signaled the emergence of France as a major European force. The momentum carried into the Dutch War of 1672 to 1678, where Louis sought to displace the Netherlands as a trading competitor. The French army, led by brilliant commanders like the Vicomte de Turenne, initially surged through Dutch defenses. But facing a powerful coalition of European rivals, Louis settled for moderate gains after years of grueling combat. The war concluded with only moderate territorial gains for France, marking a challenging period in Louis XIV's military endeavors. Later, one of the most significant moments of Louis XIV's reign arrived with the War of the Spanish Succession, which consumed Europe in conflict. The death of Charles II of Spain, who left no heirs, triggered a dispute over who would rule Spain and its vast empire. Louis supported his grandson, Philip V, as the next king of Spain, creating fears among Europe's powers that France and Spain would unite into a colossal superpower. England, Austria, and the Holy Roman Empire formed a grand alliance, and the conflict spiraled into one of the largest wars of the early modern period. Though the Treaty of Utrecht eventually ended the war, Louis's forces secured Philip's position as King of Spain, though France itself faced economic strain. These conflicts underscored the dual nature of Louis XIV's reign. While his military campaigns expanded France's borders and prestige, the toll of constant warfare drained the nation's finances. By the end of his reign, France was the most powerful nation in Europe, yet its people were left under considerable monetary strain, seeds of discontent that would later blossom into the French Revolution. Louis XIV's political strategy also included controlling religion. As an Orthodox Catholic monarch, Louis worked to unify France under one faith. This culminated in 1685 with the revocation of the Edict of Nantes, which had granted religious freedom to Protestants under Henry IV. Louis believed religious unity was essential for a strong nation, but underestimated the backlash. The persecution of Protestants and expulsion of Huguenots weakened France economically. Many of the displaced were skilled craftsmen who contributed significantly to French industry. Culturally, Louis XIV presided over a golden age for France. He was a patron of the arts, transforming Paris into a hub of cultural brilliance. Writers like Molière, Racine, and Corneille thrived under his sponsorship. French style dominated European fashion, French ballet set global standards, and French cuisine became the height of sophistication. The Sun King's absolute monarchy didn't just rule, it dazzled. As Louis aged, the triumphs of his youth were increasingly offset by the burdens of long-term rule. Wars had strained the economy, famines caused hardship for ordinary citizens, and criticism of absolutism began to simmer. In September 1715, after 72 years on the throne, Louis XIV passed away, leaving behind a complicated legacy. He had succeeded in building France into a cultural, political, and military superpower. He embodied the grandeur of kingship, cementing his place as one of history's most influential rulers. Yet, his absolute rule and costly military campaigns left the kingdom's finances fragile, paving the way for future unrest. Louis XIV remains one of the most fascinating figures of European history. He symbolized the zenith of absolute monarchy, a ruler who believed in his divine right and wielded power with unmatched energy. His reign offers both inspiration and caution. It was a golden age that paved the way for revolution. And as the gates of Versailles continue to attract visitors from around the globe, they remain a testament to the extraordinary vision of the Sun King, whose light still shines through the corridors of history. Behind his iconic legacy lies a powerful truth. Louis XIV wasn't just a king. He was a force that defined an era, proving that one person's ambition can reshape nations, cultures, and the destiny of continents.
Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel.